Hey everybody, we're in Module 2.3. We had just finished learning how to do addition of polynomial expressions. So now today we want to talk about the opposite operation, which is subtraction. The first thing I want to do is talk about what subtraction means. Okay, I know a lot of us think subtraction means take away or to make less, but that's not the true definition of subtraction. In math, subtraction means to do the opposite operation. So if we go back to first grade, let's just think about what this expression means. In first grade, if I say 2 plus 1, I would have started at the number line at 2, and plus 1 would have meant to move to the right. And 2 plus 1 would give me a sum of 3. So then in first grade, when I learned 2 minus 1, I also started at 2, but the minus 1, the subtract 1, meant go in the opposite direction. So instead of going to the right one, I would go to the left one, and that's why 2 minus 1 gave me a difference of 1. So we've learned since first grade, subtraction, it means the opposite of addition. Technically speaking, our definition is subtraction means to add the opposite. That's what the definition is. So really, guys, to do subtraction in algebra, you're never doing subtraction because the definition says to add the opposite, which means I can write every subtraction statement as an addition statement. Now, that phrase, add the opposite, has a technical mathematical name, and it's called the additive inverse. Listen to your vocabulary. Additive is fancy for the word add. Inverse means the opposite. So when we do subtraction, we are going to be doing the definition of adding the opposite. And that opposite is called the additive inverse. So before we get started with subtraction, we got to understand every term in algebra has an additive inverse. So for example, just like in arithmetic, if I have the number plus 10, the opposite or additive inverse of that would be negative 10. And if you take positive 10 and negative 10 and collect it, put it together, what would it make? That's right, it would make 0 because one's positive, one's negative, so you would subtract and be back at your starting ground 0. And if you remember from first and second grade math, 0 is called your additive identity, which means when you add opposites, additive inverses, you get back to 0. Well, if every number in math has an additive inverse, so does every term in algebra. So again, let's just try one more. If I say the number negative 8, and I ask you, what is its additive inverse? What is the opposite of negative 8? What would you all say? That is correct. You would say positive 8. And if you took a negative 8 and added it to a positive 8, what would it make? It would make 0. And that's what happens when you always add a term to its opposite, its additive inverse. When you add them together, they should always give you the result, the sum of 0. Okay, in our next video, we're going to actually do this now with algebra. See you then.